I've given you one question yesterday for homework. Today is 26th of May 2021. Sorry, fifth period, time 11:20 a.m. to 12 p.m. Today is the seventh day of the chapter Some Basic Concepts of Chemistry. Okay, now the question was like this. The question which I had given yesterday was like this. Pay attention. There is a compound aluminum oxide. There is another compound carbon dioxide, and there is another third compound aluminum carbide. Now, in aluminum oxide, the percentage of aluminum was given to be 52.9%. In carbon dioxide, the percentage of carbon was given to be 27.27%. This is a problem which is based on law of reciprocal proportions. From these two data, we have to find the percentage of aluminum in aluminum carbide if the law of reciprocal proportions holds good. Okay, so look at the solution very carefully. Okay, now this is how you're going to solve it in the examination. I write the symbol of the elements first. First I am writing carbon, then I am writing aluminum, then I am writing oxygen, and then I will join these three elements in a triangular fashion like this. So aluminum and oxygen forms aluminum oxide. Carbon and oxygen forms carbon dioxide. Therefore, if you combine aluminum and carbon, it will form aluminum carbide. The formula of aluminum carbide is Al4C3. Okay, and it was given in the question the percentage of aluminum. The percentage of aluminum was given to be 52.9%. Okay, and the percentage of carbon in carbon dioxide was given 27.27%. Okay, now in these two compounds, percentages of only one of the elements are given, so we can easily get the percentage of the second element in aluminum oxide. So the percentage of oxygen becomes 4700 minus 52.9 is 47.1%, and in carbon dioxide the percentage of oxygen, it is 72.73%. Okay, now from this much data we have to find the percentage of aluminum in aluminum carbide by using the concept of law of reciprocal proportions. So here we begin with the working. So I will write down by converting the percentages into grams now. Okay, so I'll write down in aluminum oxide, 47.1 grams of oxygen combines with 52.9 grams of aluminum. Okay, so we have to convert this grams of oxygen, which is the common element is in these two compounds, as constant, same. Okay, fixed. So I'll write down therefore 100 grams of oxygen will combine with will combine with 100 into 52.9. I am using unitary method, divided by 47.1. So upon simplification, if I simplify, it will become 5990 divided by 47.1. So upon simplification will come approximately 112 112.3 grams of aluminum. Okay, so we have got 112.3 grams of aluminum. That means 100 grams of oxygen, it's combining with 112.3 grams of aluminum in the compound aluminum oxide. Now next, the second compound is carbon dioxide. So I'll write down in carbon dioxide, oxygen it is 72.73. In carbon dioxide, 72.73 grams of oxygen combines with 27.27 grams of carbon. Therefore, making the weight of oxygen same in the second compound also, I'll write down. Therefore, 100 grams. 100 grams. Here it is 100, so here also I have to make it 100. Therefore, 100 grams of oxygen will combine with.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Excuse me. So
Yes.
instead of the 100 grams, so can we use just 1 gram?
Yeah, we can use 1 gram also, no problem. It is same. You'll get the same answer. I'm putting
So
over here
it'll be
100.
easier.
Yeah, it is this way also it is easier because we are removing the decimal. Are you getting it? From
Yeah, yes, sir.
59.9, it's same thing. It is same thing. Okay, so therefore 100 grams of
Yes,
oxygen
sir.
will combine with 100 multiplied by 27.27 divided by 72.73. So if you simplify this, you will get approximately 37.49 grams of carbon. Okay, now we have got 100 grams of oxygen in carbon dioxide. It is combining with 37.49 grams of carbon. So this 100 grams is fixed for the two elements aluminum and carbon. Okay, it is fixed mass of oxygen combining with aluminum and carbon. Now if we assuming assuming the law of reciprocal reciprocal proportion proportion to be true. I'll go to the next slide. To be true, therefore percentage percentage of aluminum in aluminum carbide, Al4C3, will be equal to uh, mass of aluminum divided by total mass of aluminum plus carbon. We have seen aluminum plus carbon, no? Over here. Mass of aluminum is this much. Okay, 112.3, and the mass of carbon calculated is this much, 37.49. Okay, so this we have to put in the formula. Okay, so multiplied by 100%. Okay, so mass of aluminum which you got is 112.3 grams. Okay, so I'll write 112.3 divided by total mass of aluminum plus carbon is 112.3 plus carbon. I have got 37.49. So putting that 37.49 and multiplying it with 100. Okay, upon simplification, this will come exactly maybe 74.77 percentage, which can be taken to be equal to 75% answer. Okay, yesterday I told you that answer will come approximately 75%, rounded up to the nearest whole number. Okay, am I clear? Am I
Yes,
clear?
sir.
Okay, so please
Yes,
follow the
yes, sir.
steps. Please follow the steps very, very carefully. This is how you are supposed to verify the laws of chemical combination numericals. Okay. Now let us go to the next what do you call topic in this chapter. Okay. Now have a look. Avogadro's hypothesis. This is one hypothesis which we have learned in class 10, which states that under the same conditions of temperature and pressure, equal volumes of all gases contain equal number of molecules and moles. But your important point is the conditions of temperature and pressure must be same. Okay. Now, after knowing the Avogadro's hypothesis, the applications are important in class 11. The first one, the Avogadro's law, it is helpful in determining the atomicity of elementary gases, maybe hydrogen, maybe oxygen, nitrogen. Okay. Then number two, the concept of Avogadro's law gives a relationship between vapor density and molecular weight. This is one formula which you have learned in class 10 also. Vapor density is equal to weight of weight of some volume of the gas divided by weight of the same volume of or weight of an equal volume of hydrogen. Okay. So this is the formula which you have learned in class 10 also, revision over here. So therefore, molecular weight is equal to twice into vapor density. Okay. Now come down. Relation between weight of a given gas and its volume. Remember that volume of 1 mole of any gas at STP is 22.4 liters. 22.4 liters. Sometimes we write 22.4 decimeter cube also. And this is also written as in a lower unit 22,400 centimeter cube or milliliter. Okay. Now, weight in grams of 22.4 liters of a gas at STP, it is called gram, it is equal to gram molecular weight. So the gram molecular mass of any substance of a gas, the gram molecular mass of any gas occupies at STP a volume of 22.4 liters. This is a standard molar volume. Okay. So this was about the Avogadro's hypothesis and its applications today. Now moving ahead to the next topic in this chapter, revision quickly. Atomic and molecular masses. Now atomic mass of an element, the definition again over here to be understood and remembered. Atomic mass of an element is mass of one atom of an element divided by 1/12 the mass of an atom of C12 isotope of carbon. Okay. Atomic mass unit AMU, it is 1/12 the mass of one atom of C12 isotope of carbon. 1 AMU, in short it is written over here. So based on all this, we are getting the value of one atom of carbon weight, one atomic mass, it is coming to 1.6603 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram. Please don't learn this by heart, but try to remember. Try to remember this. 1.6603 into 10 power minus 27 minus 27 kilogram. That is 1 AMU. Okay. Now, next one is the actual mass of an element. The actual mass of an element is equal to the atomic mass of an element in atomic mass unit multiplied by this 1.66 into 10 power minus 24 gram. So the actual mass of oxygen atom, how are you getting it? Oxygen we know the atomic weight is 16, so multiply with this number over here, you will get the actual mass of oxygen atom 2.656 10 power minus 23. So this is one thing. If you remember, if the value of this what do you call 1.66 10 power minus 24 grams, that is the mass of one atomic mass unit, the value of one atomic mass unit is given, then you can multiply it with any atom's atomic mass to calculate its actual mass. So this working you try to remember. Okay. Then there are other formulae. For whenever there are isotopes, chlorine has isotopes. Okay. Carbon also has isotopes. There are other elements having isotopes. So in the case of isotopes, we generally use a term which is called average relative mass of an element. That is equal to summation of the percentage abundance by 100 into its atomic mass. Okay. So one example is given over here. The average relative mass of chlorine, the first isotope, it's having an abundance of 75.53%. So multiply it by 34.969 plus the other isotope, the second one, it is having an abundance of 24.47 by 100 into 36.966. So this is the atomic mass. So you add them up, that become the average. So that's why we have chlorine, the atomic weight of chlorine, it is in calculation it is used as 35.5. I hope you remember from class 10 also. Chlorine, the atomic weight is 35.5, and that 35.5 is called average relative mass of chlorine. Okay, so this is one important point to remember. Chlorine has two isotopes. I believe you remember. Chlorine 1735 and the other one is chlorine 1737. These are the two isotopes. The first one which you see over here, chlorine 1735, it has an abundance of 75.53%, whereas the second one, chlorine 1737, it has an abundance of 24.47%. So to get the average relative mass, we have to add them up. The abundance, the percentage, the sum of the percentage abundance, it is added, multiplied to the given atomic mass and add with the other one. Okay. Now, definition of gram atomic mass or mass number can be defined as the absolute mass in grams of Avogadro's number of atoms of any element. Okay, so that is the gram atomic mass in terms of Avogadro's number. Now, number of gram atoms can be obtained by dividing mass of the element in grams divided by atomic mass of the element in grams. This will come to know and be clear when we do some numericals on this. Okay. Now let us move to the next slide. Molecular mass. Molecular mass definition is here. It is defined as the ratio of the mass of one molecule of the substance to the mass of 1/12th mass of one atom of C12 isotope of carbon. Okay, for example, the molecular mass of water is taken as an example. Two hydrogen atoms plus one oxygen atom. So it is coming how much? It is coming 18.016 AMU. And you already know the value of 1 AMU. No? I've already told you the value of 1 AMU that time. Have I? Value of 1 AMU in the previous slide. I hope you remember. 1 AMU is over here. 1.6603 into 10 to the power of minus 24 grams. It is here. Minus 24 grams. So if you multiply this, you'll get the answer in grams. Okay. Then gram molecular mass expressed in gram moles. It is mass on grams divided by gram molecular mass. You will get the gram molecular mass. Okay. Now gram molecular volume is another concept for the molecules. 1 gram mole of any gas contains again 22.4 liters. Okay, or 22,400 milliliter at a temperature of 273 Kelvin and 1 atmospheric pressure. Okay, or NTP. Now there is one concept over here which is called Loschmidt number. Loschmidt number. Please keep this in your mind permanently today. Loschmidt number. Okay, I'll explain it. Now, Loschmidt number, number of molecules in 1 milliliter of a gas. If you take 1 milliliter of any gas, okay, at STP, at what? STP. So 1 milliliter of any gas at STP contains what number of molecules? What number? So that is called Loschmidt number. So Loschmidt number is, it changes. It is not same normally. Now value has been found out at STP 1 milliliter of all gases. It is the same volume, no? So looking at the concept of molar volume, so 1 milliliter of a gas at STP, which is called Loschmidt number, its value has been calculated. 2.68 into 10 power of 19 molecules per milliliter. It is in per milliliter over there. Okay, remember that. So now when the question is asked, what is Loschmidt number? So you have to write down straight away. It is the number of molecules present in 1 milliliter of any gas at STP. So its value is given 2.68 into 10 power of 19. Okay, its value is given. If you cannot memorize it, you should be able to identify it if such numbers are mixed together in your question, in a question paper. So you must be able to choose, okay, this is the correct one. Okay, now that was Loschmidt number. So this can be a question. This can be a question in your first term examination. Can be a question. Okay, next. Next we move to the concept which is called mole concept. Look at that, mole concept. 1 mole of a substance Any substance, 1 mole of any substance contains Avogadro's number of particles of that substance. Okay. Number 2, number of molecules of a substance is equal to mass of the substance divided by mass of 1 mole of the substance. Okay. Number 3, mass of one atom of the element is gram atom of that element divided by Avogadro's number. And mass of one molecule of the substance is gram molecular mass of the substance divided by again Avogadro's number. So this formulae are similar. Number of molecules, it's calculated by dividing volume of the gas given in liters by the standard molar volume 22.4 into the Avogadro's number. These are all shortcut formula, okay, for use in calculations. The mass of Avogadro's number of molecules of a compound is equal to its molecular mass. Very, very important sentence. The molecular mass of any substance you bring to me, the molecular mass of any substance contains Avogadro's number of molecules, and that is the main basis, foundation of the mole concept in stoichiometry in this chapter. Then number 7, again, mass of Avogadro's number of atoms of an element is equal to its atomic mass. So if the atomic mass of any substance is given, atomic mass of any substance is given, so that atomic mass of that substance will contain Avogadro's number of atoms. Okay. Then with regard to volume, at STP 22.4 liter of a gas is equal to its molecular mass. So the molecular mass of a gas, any gas you bring, the molecular mass of any gas at STP, it will occupy always a volume of 22.4 liters. So these are some important things to go through carefully and remembered and memorized. Okay, because this is something which you have already gone through, learned, come across in class 10 ICSE syllabus. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, will you please repeat that
Yes.
point number
Huh?
6, sir? 7. So will you please repeat that point number 7?
Number 7. In number 7, I'm talking about atomic mass. Say, for example, no, if I talk about say an atom of oxygen, its atomic mass is 16. No, so if I write 16 grams, this is called gram atomic mass. So 16 grams of oxygen contains 6.02 into 10 to the power of 23 atoms of oxygen. That is point number 7. Explanation for point number 7. Am I clear? Am I clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Thank you, sir.
okay, very good. Welcome. Next point. Next slide we go to chemical equivalence. Chemical equivalent. This is one new word we are coming across this year in class 11. So I request all of you to pay a lot of attention for this part of the chapter, chemical equivalence. Are you getting it? What is the word? Chemical what? Chemical
Equivalence.
Chemical equivalence. Isn't it? Chemical equivalence. Now, let me tell you something about chemical equivalence. Now, in a chemical reaction, if you take any chemical reaction, a definite mass of a particular substance always combines with a definite mass of some other substance. Isn't it? You know that, no? If you take a chemical reaction, if you take any chemical reaction, a definite mass of a particular substance always combines with a particular mass of some other substance. Yes or no? Tell me. If you take any chemical reaction, a definite mass of any substance, one substance combines with a definite mass of the other substance, then they are going to form the products. No? For example, if you take a chemical reaction, 1 gram of hydrogen will always combine with 8 grams of oxygen or with 35.5 grams of chlorine. Isn't it? Let me explain this properly. For example, if you take 1 gram of hydrogen, this is always going to combine with say 8 grams of oxygen, 8 grams of oxygen, or it is always going to combine with 35.5 grams of chlorine, isn't it? This is oxygen, sorry, second one. Now here look at oxygen. Oxygen, the atomic weight, it is 16, but they are using 8 grams. They are using 8 grams. The reason over here is the valency of oxygen is 2. That is why if you divide the atomic mass by the valency, you get the equivalent weight. you get the equivalent weight. Did you get the concept now? If you divide
Yes, sir.
the atomic mass by its valency, you get the atomic weight. Similarly, in the case of hydrogen also, hydrogen it is 1, valency it is 1, so 1 by 1, it's 1 only, no? But chlorine, its atomic mass is 35.5, its valency is -1, so this gets divided by 1 only, it remains 35.5 only. Are you getting it? So on this basis, my dear students, over here, let me just explain you in brief, in a very simple language, what is chemical equivalence. Okay, now listen very carefully. The equivalent mass, it is a number. It is the number of parts by mass of the substance which combines or displaces directly or indirectly 1.008 parts by mass of hydrogen, or 8 parts by mass of oxygen, or 35.5 parts by mass of chlorine, or if we take silver, 108 parts by mass of silver. So this is a number. Equivalent mass is the number of parts by mass of which a substance combines with or displaces directly or indirectly. You must remember these numbers: 1.008 parts by mass of hydrogen, or 8 parts by mass of oxygen, or 35.5 parts by mass of chlorine, or 108 parts by mass of silver. We can add a lot of elements over here in the definition, but that is not necessary because the concept understanding is very, very important over here. When equivalent mass is represented in grams, it is called gram equivalent mass. The equivalent mass of a substance may have different values under different conditions. Important line. The equivalent mass of a substance may have different values under different conditions, but it doesn't have any units. There are no units. Okay. Now I want you to learn this formula. Atomic mass is equal to equivalent mass into valency. So from this formula, to find the equivalent mass, if you divide the atomic mass by valency, you get the equivalent mass. So this is a very, very important relationship which you will have to remember in this part of the chapter. Okay. So please put that in your mind. Save it. Please save it properly in your mind. Atomic mass is equal to equivalent mass multiplied by valency, or equivalent mass is equal to atomic mass divided by valency. I hope that is clear to all of you now. Okay, so this is all about chemical equivalents in this chapter. Now after that we move ahead to how to determine the equivalent masses. The different methods have been discussed over here theoretically only, and I will do at least one problem each on all these methods as examples to make you understand how to calculate the equivalent mass of different substances given in the question. Okay, so the first one, have a look at the first one. The first one, it is called hydrogen displacement method. Hydrogen displacement method. Okay, so if you are reacting zinc metal with sulfuric acid, okay, then from sulfuric acid that hydrogen gets displaced, kicked out by the zinc metal, and hydrogen gas is formed. So I'm talking about that type of reaction. So here, to get the equivalent mass of the metal, okay, the formula is given over here. Mass of metal, whatever mass of metal that is reacting with the acid, and the mass of hydrogen which is formed, the mass of hydrogen gas which is formed, multiplied by this figure over here, 1.008. So you will have to learn this formula. Okay, the first formula over here. If the mass of hydrogen displaced cannot be determined, you cannot catch hold of it and take its weight, then you can get the volume. So the second formula, which is more better, it is equal to mass of the metal taken and the volume of hydrogen gas which is formed at STP. And if you are taking the volume of hydrogen gas, then you have to multiply it by 11,200 ml. 11,200 ml, because we are calculating what? Equivalent mass. We will not use 22,400. We will use 11,200 ml. Okay, so that is the first method for the determination of equivalent mass. Now we come to the next one. The second method for the determination of equivalent mass. Okay, Now equivalent mass of the metal is equal to mass of element divided by mass of oxygen combining or whatever it is forming. So here it is multiplied by 8 parts. No? Then chloride formation method. Equivalent mass of the metal is equal to mass of metal divided by mass of chlorine into 35.5. If using chloride, then 35.5. Or equivalent mass of the metal is equal to mass of metal divided by volume of chlorine gas which is formed at STP or NTP into 11,200 over here. Okay, so these are the three methods over here. Let's go to the next one, number 4. In number 4 we have over here metal displacement method. It is called metal displacement method. Now in double decomposition reactions, okay, in double decomposition reactions, like for example if we react sodium chloride plus say silver nitrate, we know it is a double decomposition reaction. It is going to form sodium nitrate plus silver chloride. No, I'm talking about such reactions where there is displacement of metals, so here mass of metal which is added, mass of metal displaced, equivalent mass of metal added and equivalent mass of metal displaced. So by using this formula you can calculate the what you call equivalent mass of the metal which is being added over there. Okay, this is one equation. From here it is possible to calculate. Okay, the next one is supposed to be double decomposition method, but this next one, number 5 method, I will do in the next class because it is almost time up now. Okay, it is almost time up because uh, mm, in the next class I will explain you double decomposition method, and then I will do one sum each for all these 5 methods which I've explained so far. Okay, now just hang on, I will just take your attendance quickly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have taken your attendance now. I think now you don't have any more classes today. So this much for today. Thank you, boys. You may leave the class now.
Thank you.